So we just went herping for the first time ever, and we did it here in Vietnam. Before this, we are exotic pet enthusiasts. I've really been into reptiles and snakes, and Morgan is really into tarantulas. Tell us about how did you get into tarantulas?
Oh, well, I've always been fascinated with arachnids from the time I was very small, and when I was a young boy, I wanted to own one, and my mother was very much against it. She was terrified that it would get out, so she said absolutely not. Many, many years later, after visiting expo after expo and like really researching them, I decided to take the plunge. I started out with a couple, and then it's since burgeoned. I think it was at one point I had as many as 20, but it's now dropped down to about 12 or 13. It's a mixture of New World and Old World. Poecilotherias, the most famous being the Poecilotheria metallica, or the Goody sapphire, which is
the most venomous that you could
tarantulas that you could have.
That's funny because I didn't think about how my love of snakes, and my dad is absolutely terrified of snakes and absolutely hates them, couldn't stand to even see an image of them, yet I got really into snakes also. So both of us are kind of, had these parents that were horrified by the particular animals we got into. And Morgan's the one, like, I've owned snakes over 20 years, a lot of different kinds of snakes, and Morgan's the one who's like, why don't you consider other things, lizards, and then we got into tarantulas, and we have a Sphinx cat, so we've broadened our horizon. But this trip to Vietnam, this is the first time where we've actually gone on a herping trip, where you go out into the wilderness with a guide specifically looking for whatever target animals you're looking for. And this is the dry season, so we had, our hopes were not high because we knew that a lot of animals won't be visible, but we went on a trip with Viet Herping Company. They have tours both in Ho Chi Minh City and here in Hanoi, so we went on 2 different trips. And so we first started in Ho Chi Minh City, and there was 2 other clients with us, and we had the host and another host who had a professional camera, so that was really nice to get some pictures. And this was specifically looking for reptile snakes. We had at least an adventure. Like, this is definitely something very unusual.
Yeah, and despite it being the dry season, we went out on 2 treks. The first trek, we were hoping to find at least a few snakes, and we ended up finding 9 snakes, 6 different species.
Yeah, this was out 2 hours outside of Ho Chi Minh City. It's on a farmer's property. And as soon as we pulled up, the farmer had already captured a snake for us. But we got to see a snake right out of the gate. And then we just kind of wandered around the farm area, and various people would, find a snake, and the guides were certainly like, searching for them. They knew where to search. Right next to the lake, digging up next to the lake bed, and so we saw 6 different species.
Sunbeam snake, rainbow water snake, Murphy's water snake. Last time I was here with these guys, we were with the water snake guy worldwide. He literally wrote the book on water snake.
Okay.
And this was his target species. And we didn't get it. This is what Mike was looking for.
Oh, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh no, Mike still left his battery at my home.
Oh really? It's for free then.
So what what is this?
This is Murphy's mud snake. He was the one who described the species.
Wow.
Ah, this right?
Yeah. Him and Josh Irvin described Murphy eye. That's why he was looking for it in the wild. Jack's water snake.
Wow.
Baby, yes.
Oh, live?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
How many?
So they 12 to 15 usually.
Wow.
That pet friend of mine had 8 babies.
You bred her?
Yeah.
Is it a lucrative business?
Not really.
Okay.
It's more for the behaviors. They've got some really cool hunting behaviors. This species specifically, you see how dark the tail is?
Yeah.
They wiggle them like worms.
Oh,
Okay.
And then a fish comes up to them and whack.
so they eat fish.
Yeah.
We'll do all these water snakes eat fish.
Yeah. The rainbow mud snake and the Murphy mud snake eat a lot of amphibians as well. But these guys are big fish eaters. Radiated rat snake.
What kind of snake is this?
This is a radiated rat snake.
Rat snake?
Oligodon.
Yeah, Duvernay's kukri. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw totally 6 visits, but nice snake.
And other just critters.
Yeah, rather fortuitously, we came. The one gentleman had a ultraviolet light, and he was able to locate a couple of things, including a scorpion.
Yeah.
And then there was the other serendipitous event when a Vietnamese blue tarantula was discovered. It was just amazing because it was in the wild in its native habitat, and I own one myself, a much larger one. But still, it was great to see it. I don't believe in handling tarantulas, but it was just interesting to see how it seemed to take to being on the hands of a couple of the individuals that were doing the herping tour.
It was, buried, so they dug it out and found that.
Hey Chris, do you know how many species of tarantula in Vietnam?
Oh.
Or where to find?
Currently, or how many?
Yeah, how many?
Oh.
And the scorpion was so awesome. It's a light colored scorpion, and I had already planned to get a scorpion tattoo a few days later in Ho Chi Minh City, so I was super excited to find a scorpion because that would be my next tattoo, and it was similar colored and everything, so that was super cool.
Honestly, I did not expect to be going onto a farm. I thought we were going into the jungle.
Right.
But then, we got to this farm, and I mean, it was very rural, and so it certainly was not. I did not feel as if I was anywhere near the city. It was just fascinating to actually go onto a farm, and to find so many of these creatures.
Yeah, there's a water snake, so it lives next to the water, in the water, it swims. Oh, musk.
This is a really pretty one as well.
Does it calm down after a while?
They do,
is
yeah.
it like full aggro constantly?
No, they do calm down.
What kind of snake is this?
This is a radiated rat snake.
Rat snake?
It's fine.
And on the farm, I'm not quite sure the variety of stuff they're farming, but we did see a pineapple plant, which I think is the first time we've seen a pineapple plant in nature. Definitely.
Yeah, I
didn't
had
know.
no idea that it was one pineapple plant. It's crazy.
Very intensive. One of the things we saw a spider molting, and so for all of the tarantulas that we own, we've never actually seen a tarantula molting because they are hiding, of course. And so this was hanging from a plant and actually, in action molting. So that was really super cool to see.
No, a molting spider.
On the trip, like, we were lucky enough that the other two clients, like Chris, who is someone who's from South Africa, and he lives there as a resident for 8 years. So he's gone on this tour multiple times, 4 times. So he knows the company, and he was very knowledgeable. So he was really great.
So. Yeah.
There was another guy who was in his 20s and quite a travel adventure guy. So
From the Netherlands.
yeah, he really wanted those, you know, pictures of him like holding the snakes and stuff. So it was good to have that kind of balance.
Aggressive or less aggressive?
I was definitely nervous. Like, I've seen herping videos on YouTube, so I was definitely nervous about, you know, being around a bunch of macho guys who want to jump through the streams or do like extreme stuff. So it was not like that at all.
So then, no sooner did we finish with that than we headed north towards Hanoi. Literally the day after we touched down, we were back out into another new experience. But this time we were circumvented by this city. There was this giant or prodigious area of land that was being farmed. In some cases, the farmers resided there as well, and in other instances, they had dogs who were monitoring things for them while they were obviously elsewhere. That was another fantastic experience because we had a little taste of modernity in the sense that we, in order to get to this area where we could do the herping, we had to go across bridge. I guess the bridge is over 100 years old. Not only does a train still go over it with some regularity, but there was this constant flow, or this rhythmic flow of motorcycles or cycles going back and forth. Of course, it was nighttime, so there were all the lights from the motorcycles, and it just was very, I wouldn't necessarily say otherworldly, but it was like a romantic, noirish kind of vibe going on. Like you felt as if you were walking through a black and white film from like another era. Just didn't mesh with 2025. But then no sooner did we walked for some the bridge was quite it was quite lengthy, and we got all the way out.
We only drove 1 kilometer compared to...
Yeah, literally, we are still completely surrounded by the city. And then you went down these steps into these farmlands in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And
right next to the Red River.
And I would say we were...
On this trip, we're specifically seeking Chinese cobras. So this was titled like a cobra herping tour.
Right.
And so that was our target animal.
And we were, I'd say, 15 minutes in, if that, and boom, he discovered a cobra. Not only was it a cobra, but it was a very cooperative cobra.
It was so great. Yeah, we found the one cobra. We were a bit nervous about it because it's very dry, and so he was even saying like he would take us out again if need be if we didn't find one. We found this one cobra. It was, you know, sizable. It was quite large, and it was just very cooperative because it did kind of, you know, flare up, and he kind of, you know, poked at it a little bit to get it to flare up so we could get the good pictures.
I will try to make it become aggressive so the picture will be better.
But we took a lot of pictures and we spent a lot of time with this one snake. So we were very happy just to see it at all, and especially just the whole experience of being out there was really great. But to see the target animal, of course, and to see a Chinese cobra was just super amazing.
I will do this for a while, and it will become tired, and it will stay still for us to take picture.
And he also said, like, you know, this is a gardening farmland area, and so he said that so many people get bit during the wet season that the hospitals run out of anti-venom, and he said that there's a really good hospital nearby that's very used to dealing with, you know, snake bites and stuff. So it's just really interesting that, you know, this is a community that lives alongside these Chinese cobras. A lot of people do get bit, but they know how to handle it.
To identify Nature Atra, you can see behind the hood, it will have a circle that expand to two sides of the hood, like this. Be careful.
That it's just part of this kind of habitat there.
You know, we also happened upon another a lizard as we trekked through this. It was like a labyrinth. It was really absolutely oniric or magical, or I don't know how quite to, because there was the light that was being cast from the city. It gave this like glow, or this.
Oh, and we could hear the karaoke from across the river too. So that was the, you know, the sound kind of backdrop. So open.
Their hoods at all. No matter how hard they try. This one is so interesting. So beautiful.
So there was this juxtaposition as you're wandering through this, all this verdure or greenery or vegetation. And then, of course, here and there you would happen upon little sheds and houses and so forth where people were living. And then as we continued down the sinuous path, we ended up at one point meeting with a gentleman who was in charge of a shrine of sorts.
A Buddhist shrine. Yeah, that because we had just come around the water, and he was mentioning that a lot of the people that do the gardening or farming are raising these products for sale at the market, and that a lot of them do not live there. But then we came across some basically like shanties that were on the river, and he said these folks do live there on the river. He said that a lot of people swim in the river, and a lot of people drowned in the river. So he said that there's a lot of stories of ghosts that live in this river, and those kinds of, you know, stories about this river and this location in particular. And then we came around the corner and there was this Buddhist shrine, and this person that lives there to caretake this shrine, and he came out and we had like it was a beautiful little seating area, and we had like tea, and he gave us like some snacks and cookies, and just a really great unanticipated place to rest and hear stories from this guardian of the temple.
Which was in some way, shape, or form connected with paying respects to the specters that were still circling the area. And it did have I will say it did have kind of a spectral quality to it. There's a phantasmic element going on as you're making your way. I guess especially given the time of day we were there and at night, so of course you're going to have that to factor in. We made our way back up to the bridge, and it was, again, it was just being on this example of modernity or whatever.
That's when we saw the train then pass by. This is a sleeper train, travel train.
Sleeper train came, and right through the center. I would say pretty spectacular.
And then we had our concluding street food meal with our guide. And so we got to, recap our trip and check out our pictures and stuff like that. Definitely of course we're not in the best season. They said come back between April and October. And so now that I know them, I would love to come back in the future. Vietnam, Malaysia, has great herping, and a lot of companies that are doing these kinds of trips. And I think, maybe doing it during this season is good, since it is our first time ever, we don't want to jump in the deep end. So I think this was a good introduction because it wasn't too much for me.
Right.
And so now we know what to expect, although I'm sure every single trip is different, but we had no clue of what to expect at all from the beginning. So this was kind of a gentle pathway in, and I'm definitely excited to go on a lot more herping trips in the future.
Yeah, no doubt.
Cool.
Yeah.